Welcome to the Phil Steele Plus Tour for December the 7th. Well, we're on fire here. Another 4-1 week last week for the best bets, or for the selections, I should say. Now 20-9 over the last 6 weeks. Do a little housekeeping here. We'll do our records for the year for Press Box, or for the tour, I should say. And as you see, we went 4-1 last week, 20-9 over the last 6 weeks. Now 40-32 on the year for the tour. I know somebody's typing in some stuff down below, which is incorrect tour records. But if you go back and look at each selection for the entire year, 40-32, we had that little lull in October. And as you know, November has been red hot. In fact, the November tour record, 30-14 over the last 2 years. Over the last 22 weeks of the regular season, 66-45 for the tour. Take it back over 33 weeks. We're hitting 58% winners. FCS selections, 2-0 last week, now 29-15, 67% on the year. The combined tour record for this year, the 40-32 and 29-15, brings you to 69-47, 59.5% on the year. Now, I did add in 2 quick hitters on the FCS tour last week. A lot of you didn't get that, but I do count it in on the record. We went 4-3 on the quick hitters here, but the 2 quick hitters I tossed in over there lost, so a 4-5 week for the quick hitters. And the NFL plays, I don't put out many, 11 over 21 weeks. I've got one for you today. They are 6-4-1 over the last 21 weeks. So that's your records for the tour. Let's get to your first game. And your first game is my underdog title game play. We've got Iowa State as an underdog here. They are +2 against Arizona State. Now, the first thing I want to point out is that Matt Campbell is really good as an underdog. Take a look at the overall record here. He was not here for these years, so take away the 8-9-1. You got 25-17 or 25-14-1 is his record as an underdog. So you've got a really good underdog coach who this year, if we take a look at the logs, and once again we have all the logs updated for you for all the. Here's college ATS logs. We can look at the college logs for Iowa State, and we're going to see they haven't been underdog very much this year. In fact, the only game they were a dog was against Iowa this year, and they won that game. So that's actually one more win, 25-14-1 for Matt Campbell as an underdog. As you see here, he's been favored in every other game, which typically is not his best category. Underdog is always the best category. And yes, we have spread records for all the FCS teams. We have spread records for all the FCS teams. If you're doing your FCS work, go to Phil Steele Plus. There you go. You got your spread records on every game. Nobody keeps track of these FCS logs, right? We do. And then also the NFL logs are available as well. Remember, the WNDL doesn't mean the who won the game. It's who covered the game for the WNDL. You could tell out here by the score who won the game. So keep in mind those logs are available on Phil Steele Plus. Let's go back there. Okay, there we go. And now we'll click back here, and we're going to delve into this one a little bit further. Matt Campbell has actually coached 9 bowl games. Meanwhile, his opponent here, Coach Dillingham, has this is his first postseason game ever. So you have, to me, a large coaching edge. You got somebody that's prepared for 9 postseason games versus somebody that's never been in the postseason. Now, here's a surprise to me. Iowa State has 2 1,000-yard wide receivers this year. Why is that a surprise? Well, let's take a look at Matt Campbell's 9 years as a head coach. No 1,000-yard receiver. 1 1,000-yard receiver. One still. There's one. There's 2 1,000-yard receivers. He took over in 16, so we'll go back to 2016. And his first year, he had 1. So he's had 3 1,000-yard receivers prior to this year. He's got 2 this year. Now, I bring that up because you've got 2 teams that are pretty close talent-wise, right? But let's take a look at Arizona State. They've got their top receiver is a 1,000-yard receiver, Jordan Tyson. That's impressive. But guess what? He's not playing. Who's their number 2 receiver? Cam Scattaboo. He has 468 yards. He's a running back. If you add up all the wide receiver yards this year, and if you click on individual player stats, you see who did what in each game. All the individual yards down here for the rest of the wide receivers, Jordan Tyson has twice as many yards receiving as any other wide receiver out there this year, and you could add up all of the wide receivers, and he still has twice as many yards. So he is a major part of their offense, and he is not playing in this game. That's pretty big here. So you got the number one wide receiver out, and you've got all those factors coming in. Your first selection here for my underdog title game play is to take Iowa State +2 over Arizona State. This is Matt Campbell's best team he's ever put on the field. He's a veteran head coach. He finally gets that Big 12 championship this week. All right, couple things to take care of before I get to your second selection this week, which I think you'll really enjoy. And that is, as always, give you a tour special. You can get the Phil Steele Plus for the rest of the year. It's $69 now. It's normally $99, but just $59 right now. That comes to $5 a week, and you'll be able to use all this information. Use that code word that I gave you there. And then the other thing I wanted to show you here is Inside the Press Box. And I got a special deal for you this week for Inside the Press Box. It's me versus the computer. All right, the computer won the regular season. We know that. I'm 32-28 on the year. The computer's 36-22. And my computer wants to let you know that if I let it use the 7 plays that it wanted to use, remember those that are put up on the tour? They've gone 5-2 this year. One again last week, by the way, with Virginia Tech. If I let the computer use all the plays it wanted to use, he wanted to use, it'd be 41-24 on the year. So the computer remains red hot. Remember, it started last year. He's on a 52-29 run over the last 22 weeks. The computer from the last week of October through the conference title game, now 29-13. And the computer does have a best bet for you this week as well Inside the Press Box. We tied last week. We both went 2-1. Once again, no matter who wins, you win if you're an Inside the Press Box subscriber. The combined best bet record for Inside the Press Box this year, 68-50. Now this week I've got a special for you. You get my single issue. You get all 9 games for the conference championships. My computer's forecast, my forecast, complete write-up on every game. Plus, you get all 8 FCS playoff games this week, and there's a FCS championship game, the SWAC championship game. You get that as well. There is 2 best bets for the FCS playoff games. So if you want to get all this week's postseason action, it's normally $20 for PressBox, and that's what the price is right now, $20. But if you use the code word BATTLE24, you will get Inside the PressBox all the FBS, all the FCS, including those 2 FCS best bets, for just $15. So go to philsteele.com right here. Go to the store. When you go to the store, right at the top here, has got the college edition of Inside the Press Box, and it's got the NFL edition if you want to get that. But the college edition, get it for $20. Type in that code word, and you get it for just $15 this week. If you want to sign up to Phil Steele Plus, it's right here. If you want to get the FCS magazine, it is right there. All right, let's get to your next game here. And your next game, we're going to take a look at Jacksonville State against Western Kentucky. We're going to put Jacksonville State on the right. They are the home team for this one. And we're going to put Western Kentucky on the left. Now, I found this one fascinating last week. Last week, when you take a look at Western Kentucky, let me just click one thing here. Hit refresh. Okay, it's not corrected. It will be corrected on the Western Kentucky. But last weekend into the game, it was a meaningless game for Jacksonville State. Didn't matter what they did, win or lose. They were going to host this week's game. Meanwhile, for Western Kentucky, they had to beat Liberty, or else they wouldn't be in the CUSA title game. So a must-win for Western Kentucky, a meaningless game for Jacksonville State. Western Kentucky was at home for the game, and guess what? Let's take a look at what happened in this game. As it was, even though it was meaningless for Jacksonville State, they still led 17-16 on the road. Western Kentucky needed a 50-yard field goal with 3 seconds left. Remember, we give you the complete play-by-play of every single game, and I go through the play-by-play of every single game every single week. I'd like to thank collegepressbox.com for allowing us to post these. And so you get that access just by clicking right here where it says box. If we take a look at the series, we see that in 2023, Jacksonville State won, and now they're off a loss. And then the other thing we want to point out here, let's take a look at Revenge. No, we're going to take that out of there. Come over here and click on the schedule with numbers. This is a schedule with numbers play. I'm going to close this out. Remember that code word, by the way. Battle24 gets you this week's press box for $15. Not going to show you that again. The tour doing well. 8-5 on the best bets last week. The plus minus power rings had a big week. 10-3 last week. Now 60-44 on the year. 7-2 for the revenge games. Revenge games always win, don't they, guys? 40-20, 88-40 over 2 years for the revenge games. And this one is a revenge game this week for Jacksonville State. They lost last week. Now they get the game at home. So you got to love that. 88-40. So that's nice to have. And over here, the CUSA title home game, the home team is 13-5 ATS. That's why it's in yellow. I got one angle going for it this week. These angles, I just added this a few weeks back. 11-5 last week, 40-22 on the year. There are angle plays this week. The conference YPG, it says Jacksonville State's plus 88, Western Kentucky's plus 22. That's a play on Jacksonville State there, but not a major one because they are favored in the game, even though they're at home. But it is a lean to Jacksonville State. Green means that it's a best bet, so you got a situational play here. Jacksonville State will now play their A game, whereas Western Kentucky played theirs last week. And it's a 2.5, so if it's green out here, it qualifies as a best bet, which are 8-5 last week. 63-46 on the year. I just added that this year. 63-46 on a 33-18 run for these best bets overall. And you have to have two or more best bets going for you to qualify for a green out here. That's how I do this. But the schedule with numbers, if you want to know where that's at, you go to your file here and you just click on Schedule Predictor and click here. And this takes you right to the schedule predictor, and there it is for the entire season. So do keep that in mind and use that with your Phil Steele Plus membership. All right, so let's get back to this game, see what else I got rolling on this. We do have a couple more items. So last week, a meaningless game. They kicked the field goal. Now Jacksonville State is 10-3 ATS at home. You can go back here. I just showed you where to go for logs. I won't show you that again. But last year they were 6-1 ATS at home. This year they're 4-2 ATS. So 10-3 ATS at home the last 2 years. This year they are plus 119 yards per game. Last year, I should say, they were plus 119 yards per game at home. Nothing on the road. This year, they are plus 91 yards per game at home, minus 19 on the road. Meanwhile, Western Kentucky is plus 79 at home, but minus 81 on the road this year. So you got a good home team versus a team that doesn't play as well on the road. It's also a red-green matchup. Check this out. And by the way, this was typed in wrong. We've got this corrected. If you go to Phil Steele Plus right now, this will be corrected. I'll hit refresh again. I don't think it's going to work. It didn't. But these are 4 red numbers for Western Kentucky's rush defense. They're actually allowing more than 266 and 5.0 on the ground. And this green matchup, look at these guys. They are averaging on the year in conference play 306, 5.9. They're giving up 202, 4.7, and even worse the last 4 weeks. So you got a red-green matchup involved in this as well. And taking a look at the last 4 weeks, Jacksonville State is 93.8. They're 88.6. That means Jacksonville State should be over a touchdown favorite. Conference YPG, as I mentioned before. So add it all up, our value play of the week, we're going to take Jacksonville State minus 5 over Western Kentucky. I do have a quick hitter for you. I know a lot of you love to use the FCS information. We got great FCS information up here. Taking a look at the playoffs for this week, you've got numerous teams. We'll take a look at South Dakota State. They're playing this week, so we're going to click on South Dakota State. They won the national title last year. They're playing well this year. You've got the green and the red. You've got how they do against opponent averages, 59-11. They're number 3 in the AGG for the year. South Dakota State's playing some pretty good football, and they are playing this week. But also on the FCS team pages, we got a couple more things going for you. Click on that real quick. We got over here average game grades for the season. We see North Dakota State number 1, Montana State 2, South Dakota 3. Use that while you're looking at the FCS this week. Also under FCS information, we got pass efficiency defense. This includes the opponent. So as you see here, some teams didn't play very good opponents. Other teams did play good opponents, and that actually adjusted. It's not just the pure numbers, factors in the opponent edge. That's very helpful in the postseason to have the pass efficiency like that. We also give you the ATS logs, as mentioned. And also when you look at the FCS, if I go to the team pages, let's go to North Dakota State since they're number one. We give you the individual player stats. You can see how they're doing in each game this season. That goes back 5 years in the FCS. How about the last 6 years ATS logs? Now, that should be actually be titled the last 7 years ATS logs. And with this year included, you get 8 years of ATS logs. There is no place in the country you can go and get 8 years of FCS logs except here at philsteele.com. So if you like all that stuff, you'll want to be a Phil Steele Plus member and get the FCS. Now, I normally have an FCS tour. That tour plays have been doing very well. This week, we're not doing an FCS tour. This is just one tour this week. I gave you the overall record of the tour. One tour this week. If you want to get the FCS plays this week, go to get this week's issue of Inside the Press Box. You get yourself 9 FBS championship games, 8 FCS playoff games, plus that FCS championship game, all right there at Inside the Press Box, single edition this week. And at your price, you save $5. It's just $15. All right, let's get to your quick hitter. And for your quick hitter, I'm going to put Penn State on the right and Oregon on the left. The game is being played in Indianapolis. I think Penn State will have the crowd edge for that since it's much closer. They don't have to take a plane flight to get to Indianapolis. And so that's one thing that went into it. But it's interesting when I looked at the Inside the Press Box. This is the type of write-up you get on every game. And you even get this for the FCS. You get my computer's forecast. You get for my complete write-up on the game, the power rating numbers, all that for all the FCS this week. And remember, 2 best bets in the FCS, 2-0 again for last week. But if you take a look here, it surprised me that my computer's actually calling for Penn State to win this game outright, 26-23. You know, Oregon's the number 1 team in the country. They're favored by 3.5. But how can you argue with my computer with the type of record it has had this year, last year, every year? If you go back to the magazine and look at where the computer forecasts teams to rush, pass, and total points for the year, it's remarkable how it is. The computer's calling for Penn State to win this one, 26-23. What the heck, I made it a quick hitter for this week. All right, let's move on to the NFL game for this week. And by the way, when you go to Phil Steele Plus, we'll go there real quick. While I'm clicking here, I'll go to the NFL team pages. There we go. When you go to Phil Steele Plus, you can get the strength of schedule is up there. Tells you who's played the toughest schedule this year. You also get the special teams ratings, who's got the best special teams in the country. You also get the offense versus defense YPG for the year. Miami of Florida is actually number 1 in that category. Texas 2 all the way down the line. Click back. And how about this one? Strength of wins, pain of losses. Now you get credit for every win over an FBS team of an opponent you beat, and you get credit for every loss of an opponent you lose to. So let's see who is number 1. Oregon's number 1 at 61-0. Boise State's beaten teams that have beaten 47 FBS teams. Army 41, Texas 55. Who's the ones that have won the most? Notre Dame 64, Ohio State 63, Oregon 61, Texas. Pretty interesting stuff there when you look at the strength of wins, pain of losses. All right, but let's go to the NFL. So we'll go to NFL. And by the way, our game for this one, we are going to click on Arizona as the home team, and Seattle is the road team. I don't dabble in the NFL. I don't even follow the NFL. I've got an NFL guy that writes our Inside the Press Box newsletter for me. We put together all these stats, and I had my NFL guy who's having a pretty good year give me his play that had the most going for it this week, and it's Arizona against Seattle. So what do we got going for us here? Well, first of all, Oh, a couple things to note. Arizona's playing real well. Take a look at the last 4 weeks AGG. They're playing to an 88.6 level. Seattle playing to an 84.2. That means Arizona should be a 7.4 favorite. The intriguing thing here, they're not even a field goal favorite. They're a 2.5-point favorite. So not even laying a field goal at home. They're the better team at home, especially over the last 4 weeks. That says they should be a touchdown favorite in this game. So I like that factor. Others. Look at Seattle's offense the last 3 weeks. 289, 285, 259. They're averaging 277 yards per game the last 3 weeks. How about Arizona's defense? Look at this. Last 4 weeks, they're giving up 252 yards per game. So you got a really good defense the last 4 weeks against a really poor offense the last 3 weeks. Now, on the road, Seattle is allowing 67.8 completion percentage. And meanwhile, you look at Kyler Murray, he over the last 4 weeks, he is hitting 71.4%. He's finding his stride. Seattle has allowed 19 sacks the last 4 weeks. Look at this, 7, 4, 5, and 3. 19 sacks. How about Arizona? Can they get after the quarterback? Well, the last 4 weeks, the answer is yes. They have 19 sacks the last 4 weeks. So I like that matchup as well. And then we got other things in the NFL. If I go to the NFL, not team pages, click over here. Analyze on schedule numbers, press box. All right. We're going to take a look at NFL information, and we take a look at strength of wins, pain of losses. Now, this says, once again, if you beat a team, you get record for every one of their wins. If you lose a team, you count for every one of their losses. So Arizona comes in with a 32-18 record, 64%. Seattle's not bad, 59%, 36-25, but once again lower. So Arizona should be over a field goal favorite since they're at home. And then also the YPG for the season. We've got that for the NFL. So if we click there, NFL strength or YPG for the season right here. We see that Arizona is plus 33, Seattle plus 15. Once again, not a huge difference, but once again, Arizona should be over a field goal favorite. They're also playing with revenge. A lot of times you lose the road game, you win the home game. That's what we're banking on here. Arizona lost to Seattle a few weeks back. By the way, in that game, they had a 298 to 285 yard edge, and yet came up short. So, and one of Arizona's scores was on a interception return for a touchdown. So, I added it all up. Our NFL play this week is to take Arizona minus 2.5 over Seattle. If you want to get Phil Steele Plus for the rest of the year, I gave you the code. If you want to get inside the press box for this week, you get all the FBS and FCS. I gave you the code for that as well. And all season long, I do really appreciate you guys taking the tour with me. I like to show off what we got here on Phil Steele Plus. I like to give you winners, and thank goodness we're on a nice roll here, going 20-9 over the last 7 weeks. Let's hope we gave you 2 selections in the college. We gave you an NFL selection. Let's hope we have another winning week this week. And thanks for taking the Phil Steele Plus tour with selections.